A lot of my work is concerned with the role of women in society. I mean, I've grown up female, so I've inherited all of the narratives about what it is to be a woman in the society. And I also grew up in a family in which my parents, especially my father actually, my father was very much a feminist. And I think that some of that probably also stemmed from his feeling like, that he had been held back because, because of his sexuality, and he didn't want his daughter to feel that she had to be held back. But I think, and actually growing up in the church was very interesting in that way, because when I began to have real religious doubts and struggles, that was in my teen years. And so some of it obviously was about the injustice that I felt was being done to my father. I began to have issues with the role of women in the church and in religion. And it seemed that often religion was used to kind of keep women down. And often people will say, oh, it's for protection. And I'll think, protection is also another word for oppression. I think also growing up in Southern society, where there are certain, I always say it's like, it's almost like kabuki theater in its way of being very presentational about femininity. There's certain rules about femininity, and it's very passive aggressive in its way. So for instance, my paternal grandmother who lived in Atlanta, I would go to visit her and she could say, oh, is that what girls are wearing in New York City? Isn't that interesting? And there's no word more damning than interesting said by a Southern grandmother. And so, immediately I would think, all right, I have to go change. And I remember butting heads with my mother a lot as a teenager. God bless her, over about 12 fruit baskets. But, we really locked heads because I was of the punk rock generation, and she was of the 1950s generation of like, well, no, you're going to wear, that's not what you're going to wear to church. So I just became very aware of the ways in which women were policed. And it would be easy to say like, oh, so I just rebelled against that. But no, it was a struggle, because there was a part of me that wanted to be a good girl, that was afraid of what would happen if I were not a good girl. And I figured I couldn't be the only one struggling with that.